Alright guys, got a Honda, it's a Husqvarna mower with a Honda engine, GCV 160, and did a service on it. When I got it, carb was off, missing this cover plate, so I bought a new back plate, filter, all this good stuff, cleaned the carburetor, oil, spark plug. Have not adjusted the valves yet, but will do that shortly. I have the chute over there. No bag on this mower, but just trying to get it ready and running right, and we'll be selling it. Got it from a customer that just didn't want it anymore. Offered him a little bit of money for it, and he didn't want it, just wanted me to take it. So gonna get it fixed and probably sold, or I may keep it for my own yard. I've got a riding mower, but we'll see. Anyway, it's surging pretty bad, so let me show you. Gas on, choke on. So, as you can see, seems to idle okay until you take the choke off. As soon as you take the choke off, it starts to die. So, what I'm gonna do is take this thing apart. 10mm. And I believe what we're going to have here is a problem with one of the jets. I cleaned it out. I actually had another knockoff carburetor and replaced some of the jets on it. But we're going to see what we've got. I think it's going to be, one of two issues here. Turn the fuel off. By the way, if your mower does not have a fuel filter, you should add one. It helps. These things are very, very sensitive, unfortunately, especially these Honda carburetors, for whatever reason. These assemblies are a huge pain in the ass. But we'll get to more of that when we put it back together. Okay, got my carburetor here. Good. Pop the fuel line off. By the way, the spring is very important, so make sure you put it on. We're going to sit gaskets up here, let them dry out. Again, these are new gaskets that I've put on. They will be fine to reuse. Now let's put this carb over on the bench and take it apart. Okay guys, hopefully you can see okay. Light's not that great over here on this end of my shop, but we're going to go ahead and take this apart. 10mm. And this gas tank was very nasty, and there's even a little bit of sediment in here. Again, after a cleaning, that wasn't very good. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and fully take this apart. pop the pin out. It's easier to get from this side for whatever reason. Needle. And take your screwdriver, and if you can see in here, flathead screwdriver will take this jet out. Now sometimes I don't like these Chinese carburetors that you can buy off Amazon for nothing, you know, 15 bucks, 10 bucks. But sometimes I will buy them for parts. Sometimes it's cheaper to buy it for the gaskets, and sometimes the parts work, sometimes the parts don't. You can see with this one, I actually did do that. I bought a Chinese one. I was going to slap it on and kind of see what happened. They are a little bit different. You know, and this is, you got to be careful when you buy them, and you don't know just because it's for a GC. Just because it's for this motor doesn't mean it's going to work. So, a couple reasons. See the choke lever? See how this one's got a pin on the top? That's important. Got to have it for this one. I was actually going to reuse this, but ended up not really being able to do so because I wanted to change out this and this, but regardless, whatever, doesn't matter. So got the jets out. These are the new jets here. These are the old here, and you can kind of see the difference. Now, one thing I want to check on is the size of the hole. So you guys, apologize, you're not going to be able to see this, but this is the main jet, and it is a lot smaller than the old. I didn't notice this, you know, previously. Well, maybe not a lot smaller, but a little bit. So these kind of control the amount of flow with the EPA, you know, being what it is. These things tend to run lean as it is because, you know, it's the environment. We should care about it. But what I'm going to do is, these are little welding tip cleaners. And basically what they are is little tiny files. I'm going to use the old because it's a little tiny bit bigger. And I'm taking this file and I'm opening this hole up ever so slightly. And you'd be amazed on how much difference this can make. Again, these things are brass, so it doesn't take much. Now I've opened that hole up a little bit more, and comparatively this won't even fit in there. So that's one problem. Another problem sometimes is this up here. This is your pilot jet. So let me go get an appropriate screwdriver. This garage is a mess. So there are usually two styles of these for these kind of Hondas. One is non-removable, which is this one. If you have a screw that you pop out, the actual jet's down there. This style right here is removable, where you back this out all the way, and then there's a jet with a flat head. You can pull it out and clean it, whatever you need to do. A lot of times these get plugged solid, and getting my smallest welding rod cleaner and gonna jam it in there, and that won't even fit through. Plan 3 is take a steel wire brush, get you one of the bristles, and let's get that down there. Alright, so that did fit through. What we're trying to do is clean that hole out, because it can get plugged and can cause these problems. I don't have a super micro drill bit. They'll actually be flexible, but this usually works. Alright, so at this point we're going to clean it all back up and put it together and see if we have solved the problem or not. So we've got that pretty clean. Hit it one more time with some carb cleaner. I cannot stress this enough. Pro tip: when you're messing with carb cleaner and cleaning out a carb, sometimes that stuff will come out and hit you in the eye. It's not good. It burns and can do some damage to your eyes. Make sure you're wearing eye protection. You got it apart, so you should go ahead and clean it again. Even though this one is old, it's still pretty clean. Go ahead and squirt some carb cleaner down here, lube it up a little bit. Okay. And chase it down with a little bit of carb cleaner. Now, let's decide. We're going back to a stock jet. What about this emulsion tube? What do you think? Should we use it? Should we not? I mean, yep, we're gonna go back with stock. Now, take this file and let's again just double check, make sure that we've got this good and open. Try to get your just the right size for the hole, and these are too small. Cannot get my thing in there. Now we gotta figure out what I did with my, well, not gonna spend a whole lot of time looking. I'm gonna cut myself another steel bristle. This has got like the tiniest little holes up here, and just make sure you're getting those clean. Okay. Okay, then we'll hit this one more time. Now, we'll go ahead and put this bad boy back together. Okay, this side first. I just put this in there, but see how this guy's got the holes, it's a little fatter. This side goes in first, and then chase it with your jet. One of these days I'm going to get one of these small ones, and I'm going to grind down the tip, make it fit in these a little bit better. Try to have a dedicated carburetor screwdriver, because it barely fits. And one of these days I'm probably going to wreck the inside of the threads of a carburetor I really don't want to lose. But whatever. So let's put the Chinese parts back on the Chinese side, and we'll keep the Japanese parts over here. What do you think? It'd be nice if it wanted to hold itself up. Get your pin back in there. Check function, make sure the jet or the needle lifts. All right. So we're getting there. Now I know that the carb sits on the block like this, so I want this screw facing out in case I ever need to access it. And that's just a drain. A lot of times they get stuck. But I like this style better because you can put a wrench on there instead of a Phillips head. Okay. Let's reassemble, see what happens. Alright, so remember when I said these were a pain? And I'll kind of show you why. So start with your bolts coming through your filter back plate. Then get them through. Whoops. Then get them through this metal plate. Now you need a gasket. So make sure the hole in the gasket lines up with the hole in the plate, lines up with the hole in the back plate. Then take your carburetor and put it on. Make sure this choke lever is all the way over. Alright, so now you got your carburetor on. Next is this gasket. Then the metal plate. And where's my block? Oh, here we go. It's got two sides. It's got a square opening and a round opening. You want to make sure your round opening goes on this side, and make sure this little divot lines up with the hole. Then your final gasket, and you got to make this assembly sandwich. Then you can come over here and line it up with your block. I always like to start these screws by hand. Okay. So now you've got this thing started, ready to go in. There is a crankcase breather that I'm trying to locate. What did I do with that? And stick it into the back of the... Sorry guys, you are not going to be able to see what I'm doing here, but there's a little crankcase breather, and you need to attach it to the back of the assembly box. Now, we'll go ahead and tighten this up. just tight, snug for right now. All you gotta do is get it on there. Now it's on there. Then pick this assembly back up, put this screw back in. Now we can go ahead and tighten this side down. And choke and nut, so verify it's working right. And that closes, and that opens. Closed, open. So it's working right. I'm going to leave this off for now because I'm probably going to end up pouring some seafoam in here as well as the gas tank. But let's see if we solve the problem. What do you think? Got everything on here. Let's give it a shot. Put the choke on. There you go. Let me go get my seafoam. And I'll let you guys kind of watch this process here. So what you want to do is get started. Choke's got to be off. And on this one, you're just pouring it into the intake, and it's going to want to die. So do a slow pour, and then let it die. And then once it dies, let it sit for 5 or 10 minutes, and then start it up. It's going to smoke like the dickens, but that's okay. It's doing its job. It's cleaning the inside of this. It's cleaning the carburetor. It's cleaning the top of the pistons. It's trying to get some of that carburation off, and then pour a little bit in your gas tank. This stuff actually works pretty well. I wouldn't endorse it unless I really did think it did. So I'm going to get it started. You want to do this on a warm engine, so I'm going to let it run for a little bit. Kind of, if there's any more crap in it, kind of clean that stuff out and go from there. This thing does want to walk on me, so I'm going to put a block or something in front of this wheel. Let it choke. Alright, doesn't take much. You see that plume of smoke? No, I turned the camera off while I let it warm up. So it's warmed up now. I'm just going to let it soak in there on the top of the piston inside. Let it soak for a minute, and then we'll fire it up, clean the rest of that stuff out. It'll smoke for a few minutes. Well, this small of an engine, probably a few seconds. But that's okay. Okay. Put the air filter back on. And she's looking good. We'll hit her with the pressure washer one time, and she's ready to go.